Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. A couple months ago, I did a cover of the Ghostbusters theme with a bunch of different guitars, and I made it super funky and had a lot of fun with it. And a ton of people have liked it. The response has been overwhelming. I had a handful of people ask me how I played it or how I got the tones, how I got the parts, a ton of questions like that. So I wanted to take a full video to break down how I produced it, how I played the parts, how I got the tones, all that good stuff. So if that sounds good, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm going to get started. So if you haven't heard the track before, I'm going to play it real quick. That's what the track sounds like. I'm just going to start at the top and work down the guitar parts and break them down and explain them as best I can. So the first guitar part here. And if you're interested in learning the original song, this guitar part, the main part, I think I called it, is the closest to the original song that there is. It basically does exactly what one of the guitars in the original does. So to get the tone, I'm using Helix Native, and I'll show you what blocks I used in there, but I'll also explain how you can get that if you don't have Helix Native. I have an Ampeg Optocomp block, so that is doing some light compression. And it actually looks like a lot. There's minus 14 dB of compression happening, but the mix is only at 50. So any sort of compression pedal you have will work for this. If it has a blend knob, put the blend knob about half. If it doesn't have a blend knob, just set something kind of medium. You don't want it to feel too squashed, but you definitely want it to have some tightness and attack. From there, I'm using a US Princess Princeton style amp, and I'm driving it pretty hard. So anything you have that's clean, maybe with an overdrive pedal, or if you have a kind of a Vox or a Marshall amp and can put the gain kind of on a crunchy medium setting, that's what you'd want to do for that. And that is it. There's two other blocks here, but they're off. So just good old like rock and roll crunchy guitar. I'm using the Fender Telecaster on the bridge pickup, and the chords are a power chord on B, power chord on A, and a power chord on E. That is E string 7th fret, A string 9th fret, and then down to E string 5th fret, A string 7th fret. And then you're going to go to A string 7th fret, D string 9th fret. The trick to playing this with the right hand is a mixture of palm muted, really choked out hits with accents where the whole chord rings out. So it sounds like this. And I'm not doing chugs. It's just a straight up attack. And so that goes on until we get to the B section. And then it does that main I Ain't Afraid of No Ghosts part. This part. So you're going to go from D to B. So the D is on G string 7th fret, and the B is on the D string 9th fret. And I throw in some kind of chugs. Then you walk it up. 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret. And I like to put in a little vibrato on that top note. But that's optional. And you hear the harmony come in, but that guitar keeps doing what it's doing. And then you can end on the E string 7th fret. Also, if you're nerdy and want to know how I produced the beat and the bass, I'll go through that stuff at the end of the video. I just figured not everyone would be interested, so I'll save it for the end. Okay, next guitar part. the funky clean chords. Okay. Ideally, if you have it, a Stratocaster on position 4, which is the neck and middle together, that's going to get you closest. If you don't have that, ideally some sort of single coil guitar in a combining pickups position. So if you have a telly, use the middle. You want to get that weird phase cancel-y kind of quacky sound. For the tone on this, I'm using a matchless style amp, which is modeling a Vox. So if you have any sort of clean amp or Vox amp that you can set with just a tiny little bit of hair on it, nothing crazy, definitely stay pretty clean. That's what you'd want to do for that. And then I'm using the 70s chorus in stereo with a super slow rate. I really like this block because it's, for the chorus, you just have the chorus rate, and that's all you have to worry about. Here's without the chorus. It's not the same without the chorus. If you don't have Helix, then any sort of chorus pedal with a slow rate and high depth is what you're going to want to do. So the rate is the speed. You set that low, and then you set the depth, which is the amount of chorus that's happening. You set that pretty high. So the part sounds like this. So how do you play that? This is based around 3 different triads. So there's a B major triad right here. If you don't know how to play these kind of shapes, I'll walk you through it real quick. You're going to go D string 13th fret, G string 11th fret, B string 12th fret. So the root is on the top of that. You got 3rd, 5th, root. It's kind of like a C shape, but up super, super high. The second chord is going to end up a whole step down from there on A. So that is D string 11th fret, G string 9th fret, B string 10th fret. And then the last shape is an E. So just D, G, and B on the 9th fret. So once you have that, you need to add the rhythm and the movement. So it starts off. If you're curious about this, I'm taking the note I'm ending on, the A major chord, and I'm just starting a half step lower and sliding into it. The idea with the right hand here is you're always doing the 16ths. If you've watched any Corey Wong tutorials, it's that style of playing where you're muted, you're always going until you're letting accents come through on the left hand. So then you have to practice that really slow to get the hang of it and get good at muting all the other strings. That's all it is. All it is. You really have to get good right hand technique and good muting technique. But once you get that, you can play that style of chord all over tons of stuff and it sounds really cool. Second half, it's doubling the lower line up an octave. So that is E string 10th fret to B string 12th fret. Whew, I hate calling out numbers like that. And then you walk it up 10, 11, 12. And if you're feeling funky, feeling fun, feeling spicy, you can add in some extra little plucks. And then So that is E string 12, 15, 17, 19. I don't call out fret names, I call out notes. Play a B. Play a B. So that's that part. Next is the funkier single note. This part. Okay, this one I went off the rails a little bit because I'd already covered all the important stuff with the first two takes and now I was just trying to have fun. So to play this, ideally you'd want to strat on the middle position. But again, if you don't have that, a single coil guitar would work great. You could use the neck position. You could use a bridge position. If you have a telly and want to do the middle position, that would work too. You just want something kind of funky and weird. If you have a humbucker guitar, just make it a little bit brighter. Maybe use the middle position. Okay. And you have to get the neck bob going for this. It doesn't sound as good if you don't do the neck bob. So this starts on D string 9th fret. And it bounces between 9th and 7th fret. Then A string 9th fret. D string 7 to 9. And you're going to go to G string 7, but slide to 8. Accent that major third. I forgot to mention the tone for this. Same Ampeg Optocomp compressor thing as before, so any compressor you have would work great. And then the amp is the US Princeton, just a clean Fender style amp, super clean. And that's it. Just clean amp with compression. I'm sure you have something that will do that. And you don't even need the compression if you don't want it. That's just icing on the cake. So just set your amp clean. That's all you got to do. And same thing here. There's lots of movement in the right hand. So I'll play that really slow so you can hear exactly where I'm putting the mutes and that kind of thing. For the second part, the bridge, the chorus, whatever. So same thing where this hand's moving a lot, and you're going to go G and B string 7th fret. And then you're going to do the little walk up that the other guitar does, D string 7, 8, and 9. And then the second time I do it, I go up to the 9th fret on those two notes. So that's G and B string 9th fret. Yeah, super weird. I don't know how I came up with that. I was just going for it. That's that. I'll try to play it slow, but I'm having trouble with it. And yeah, to end it, so on those last three hits, I'm just doing a B minor chord, 7th fret on the G, B, and E string. That part's really weird, but that gives you a rough idea of kind of what I'm playing stylistically. It's really kind of an improv, like a rhythmic improv part. After that, all right, This part comes in at the B part, the chorus, whatever. When the original guitar jumps up to lead, I wanted something to come in underneath to fill chords. So it's just good old power chords. Sounds like this. Same thing here, Telly, bridge pickup. Any guitar you have that has a bridge pickup that's loud and hot, go for it. Les Paul, PRS, whatever. You want just a loud, hot pickup. For the tone, I am using the Brit 2204. It's like a Marshall style amp into the 70s chorus. The rate is a little faster. So any sort of high gain amp you have, if it's a Marshall, great. Anything else you have, set it kind of medium on the gain, and then some sort of kind of medium feeling chorus. Give you that big 80s kind of power feel. Chords start on B. So that's E string 7th fret, A string 9th fret. Move down a whole step. That's, gosh. This is so hard for me because I think I'm dyslexic. E string, 5th fret, A string 7th fret. Down. Then you're going to drop the E string a half step down to the 4th fret. So that's like a G sharp over E. Or E over G sharp. It's one of those. And that's it. You hit it. Go to the next one, and you do the hits. Next one, next one. That's all for that one. Finally, we have the little harmony that comes in. I believe I also used Telecaster on the bridge pickup here, and I'm using the compressor again. Again, any compressor you have will work great. I'm using the Cartographer amp and cab block. It's just a high gain amp, something high gain and fun, sounds rock and roll. No time based, no chorus, reverb delay, nothing after that. Super dry. It's just those two notes. So it's B string 7th fret, G string 7th fret, and you're just going to go between those notes. And I didn't even do the walk up because I didn't like the harmony of it. Whatever it is, I don't like it. Here's what it sounds like. And then I end on the root with everything else. So that's a B, and you're playing that on the B string 12th fret. So that's all for the guitars. If you want to talk about production and mixing, that's what the next part of this video is going to be about. So for drums, good old drums. They sound like this. That's as 80s as it gets right there. Those toms. Okay, I am using Battery. It's a Native Instruments drum sampler, drum sequencer kind of thing. And I pulled up the, 707 and 727 kit. This is like a vintage drum machine that was around back in the day. And I love the sound. It's exactly what you want to hear. I pan the toms around a little bit so they go across. And then I routed, there's a way you can route reverb in here. A send for each thing. So I did that and I sent it over to the reverb here. That all goes to a compressor, and the compressor is the Logic one, the vintage VCA. This is like an SSL bus style compression, and I'm doing a ratio of 4:1 and slamming it, like absolutely slamming it, but then I dialed it back on the mix. So it's basically acting as a parallel compression. And then a little bit of R bass just to make the low end smack, 57. So here's without R bass. Here's with it. Just gives the kick some juice, you know? Here's without the compressor. Here's with it. Same thing, just some punch and some smack. If you don't have battery, I meant to mention this earlier, any sort of sampler you have that says like verbatim 707, it's going to sound really similar to this, so you could use that. Otherwise, do your best to just pick some samples that kind of get you in the ballpark. For the bass, I'm using Reactor from Native Instruments, and it's Monarch. And I started with this defined preset and then tweaked it. So if you don't have Monarch, try to find a Moog style synth that like a monophonic synth. So it's only one note at a time. And you're going to want to set your oscillators to just be like a little bit detuned. So if I set these back to standard, nope. So here's closer to in tune. Sounds a lot more straight. But if you detune it just slightly, and then there's a little bit of filter change on there from the filter envelope. So here's where the cutoff is normally. So you want it just peeking out, but then add the contour or the filter control to let those transients poke through. So that's B, E, F, F sharp, A, E. And then for mixing on that, I also compressed it just a little bit with the like DBX style classic VCA compressor. You just want kind of a punchy compression here, whatever you have that kind of has a punchy like vintage attack to it. And then our bass again, but it's important to set our bass frequencies differently so it doesn't clash. So this one's up at 80. Here's without it. Here's with it. Adds in that like a little more sub-low impact to it. All of the guitars are getting compressed with the Studio VCA, and they're all just getting a little bit of gain reduction. Ratio's 3:1 and attacks at 19 milliseconds. This just helps to control the performance, basically. I'm not trying to change the sound of it at all too much. And then each one got a basic channel EQ with a roll-off and then one boost somewhere. So the main guitar, the main rhythm guitar, I boosted pretty low, kind of around 300. And then I complemented that with a little cut around 500 and a boost around 2.7K for the next guitar. Without the EQ, they were kind of interacting in the same space. So I boosted one lower, cut one lower, and then boosted that second one higher, just to give it a little bit of space and separation. And then for the funky, I did kind of a boost around 800. So I'm kind of making little windows all the way. I've got the rhythm down at 200 or 300. I cut the clean chords at 500, and then I boosted this funky compressor one, or funky comp, at around 800. So you can still hear them all clearly without it, but this just helps to reinforce the different sounds. For that rhythm guitar, I kind of did a low mid boost, and then I cut around 800 for the make room for that funky comp. It's all kind of interlocking. And then the harmonic. I boosted at 1K and I cut it 4K because it was kind of fizzy. And then I just did a quick, I don't even want to call it mastering. I just did a bus compressor. And then just slapped good old Waves L1 on there. Any limiter you have will work. I'm used to Waves. Just did an outsealing of -0.1. And that's it. That is the song. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you still have some questions about how I play like that or want me to do this type of breakdown on any other song, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always looking for new content ideas. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, and please make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.